What if football was never about 90 minutes? What if the greatest matches, the biggest defeats, and the most painful memories were decided in 3 seconds? Zlatan Ibrahimović, a man who never bowed to anyone, a striker who crushed defenders with power, ego, and dominance, has finally broken his silence about Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. And what he said didn't just surprise people, it split the football world in two. According to Zlatan, Ronaldo needs the entire match to destroy you. Wave after wave, pressure after pressure. But Messi? Messi needs 3 seconds. 3 seconds where you hesitate. 3 seconds where your defensive line blinks. 3 seconds, and the game is already over. So what did Zlatan really mean? Why would a warrior like him fear moments more than battles? And what does this confession change in the eternal Messi versus Ronaldo debate? Stay with us. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because stories like this don't appear twice. Zlatan Ibrahimović is not a man who speaks lightly. Throughout his career, he measured greatness with brutal standards: domination, intimidation, control. He played in Italy, Spain, France, England. He faced the best defenders of every generation, and very few players ever impressed him enough to earn real respect. Lionel Messi was one of them, not because of his trophies, not because of his Ballon d'Ors, but because of something that statistics still struggle to explain. At an age when most legends are already memories, Messi, now 38, still leads modern football discussions. In his most recent full season, he was directly involved in 71 goals, a number that defies time, context, and logic. Goals, assists, decisive actions, all compressed into moments that feel almost accidental. Cristiano Ronaldo, on the other hand, represents something different. Seasons with 50 or even 60 goals, repeated across leagues, systems, and coaches. A machine built on obsession, discipline, and relentless repetition. 2 paths to greatness, 2 philosophies of destruction. And Zlatan stood in between. He trained with Messi. He observed him daily. He saw what cameras couldn't capture: the silences, the pauses, the moments where nothing seemed dangerous, until it suddenly was. So, when Zlatan compares 90 minutes to 3 seconds, he's not exaggerating. He's describing a fear defenders rarely talk about. But what exactly happened to make him say this? What moment changed Zlatan's understanding of control, pressure, and inevitability? That's where the story truly begins. It didn't happen during a final. It didn't happen after a trophy. According to people close to Zlatan, the moment that changed everything came during an ordinary training session. The kind fans never see, the kind cameras don't broadcast. Zlatan had played against the best defenders in the world. He was used to physical duels, to space being closed aggressively, to pressure announced seconds in advance. Football, for him, was a battlefield where power usually prevailed. Then there was Messi. No shouting, no intimidation, no visible urgency. Zlatan recalled moments where Messi would receive the ball with his back turned, seemingly harmless. The defensive line would hold. Teammates would relax for a fraction of a second. And then, without acceleration, without force, everything collapsed. One touch to freeze the defender. One pause to bend the structure. One decision that came faster than the opponent's thought. Zlatan admitted something that rarely leaves a striker's mouth. He felt late before the action even started. Not beaten physically, not outrun, just outpaced mentally. That's when Zlatan understood something unsettling. Against most players, defenders react. Against Ronaldo, they prepare. They endure waves of pressure. But against Messi, You don't react. You don't prepare. You guess. And guessing, in football, is already losing. So, when Zlatan later said that Ronaldo needs the whole match, but Messi needs 3 seconds, he wasn't talking about talent. He was talking about inevitability. When Zlatan finally put the sentence into words, it sounded simple, almost casual. Ronaldo needs the whole game. Messi needs 3 seconds. But the football world immediately understood. This was not a compliment. It was a diagnosis. Zlatan wasn't saying Ronaldo is slow. He wasn't diminishing the numbers, the goals, the records. What he described was a process. Ronaldo builds his dominance. He accumulates danger. Each run, each shot, each aerial duel adds pressure. Defenders feel it growing. They brace themselves. They suffer. But they understand what is happening. Messi is different. Those 3 seconds Zlatan talked about are not about speed. They are about timing. 3 seconds where nothing seems urgent. 3 seconds where the ball looks safe. 3 seconds where the defensive block believes it's under control. And then the structure breaks. Not because of force, but because of understanding. Messi doesn't attack space. He creates it. He doesn't overwhelm defenders. He disorients them. Zlatan explained that this is what makes Messi terrifying. There is no warning, no visible trigger, no pattern to read. One hesitation is enough. One step too early or too late, and the damage is irreversible. Against Ronaldo, you can survive. Against Messi, you disappear. That's why defenders often describe facing Messi not as exhausting, but as humiliating. You don't lose because you tried and failed. You lose because you didn't even realize the danger was there. So when Zlatan talks about 3 seconds, he's talking about football's cruelest truth. The game is not always decided by effort. Sometimes it's decided by a thought you never had time to finish. What Zlatan described is not just a personal feeling. Football history quietly confirms it. Cristiano Ronaldo belongs to a lineage of legendary finishers, upgraded, refined, taken to an extreme level. He dominates zones. He attacks the box relentlessly. His threat is visible, measurable, and constant. Entire defensive plans are built to resist him for as long as possible. And sometimes they succeed until they don't. Messi breaks a different rule. Historically, football systems were designed to control space, lines, distances, pressing triggers. But Messi doesn't respect space. He manipulates it. He waits. He slows the game down until defenders feel safe. And that is precisely when he accelerates the decision. Tactically, this creates a nightmare. You cannot press too early. You cannot drop too deep. You cannot hold shape without freezing initiative. Coaches have admitted it. Against Messi, the system often collapses, not because it's wrong, but because it reacts half a second too late. Statistics reflect this cruelty. Messi's decisive goals and assists often come in matches where he appears quiet, invisible for long stretches, and then one action, one pass, one finish, and the entire narrative flips. This is why Zlatan's comparison resonates. Ronaldo forces football to bend over time. Messi breaks it instantly. One demands resistance. The other punishes attention lapses. And in modern football, where margins are thinner than ever, 3 seconds are not a detail. They are a death sentence. What Zlatan touched on is something numbers will never fully capture. Fear is not always linked to goals conceded. Sometimes fear is anticipation. Against Cristiano Ronaldo, defenders know what awaits them. Crosses will come. Runs will be repeated. Duels will be constant. The suffering is intense, but it is familiar. You prepare your body for impact. You tighten your lines. You count seconds. Against Messi, the fear is different. Defenders often describe a strange sensation, calm mixed with anxiety. The ball circulates, Messi walks, the rhythm drops, and suddenly you realize something is wrong, but you don't know what. Zlatan explained that this is where Messi becomes unbearable. He doesn't force mistakes, he invites them. He lets defenders choose. And that choice is already a trap. That's why so many players later confess the same thing. I felt safe, and then it was too late. Messi doesn't defeat you by winning duels. He defeats you by winning decisions. One defender steps out too early. Another hesitates to cover space. The goalkeeper delays his positioning by half a step, and in those 3 seconds, the match is gone. This is why Messi often looks quiet in big games until the moment he decides to speak with the ball. Zlatan saw this pattern not once, but repeatedly. Training sessions, matches, situations where nothing seemed urgent, until it was irreversible. Modern football claims to be faster, stronger, more organized. But Zlatan believes that's exactly why Messi's 3 seconds are now more lethal than ever. Today's game is obsessed with structure. Pressing triggers, compact blocks, coordinated movements. Teams are trained to react collectively, not individually. And that's the weakness. When everything depends on synchronization, one broken rhythm destroys the entire system. Messi doesn't attack systems head-on. He waits for them to move. He lets the press commit. He lets the defensive line slide. And then, in 3 seconds, he plays where the system cannot exist anymore. Zlatan pointed out something brutal. Modern defenders are stronger, faster, better prepared than ever. But they are also more dependent on instructions. Messi doesn't beat instructions. He bypasses them. Ronaldo tests your resistance. Messi tests your awareness. That's why coaches keep changing their plans against him. Man-marking fails. Zonal coverage collapses. High blocks get punished. Low blocks suffocate themselves. And yet, the same mistake keeps happening. Because no tactical board can prepare you for a player who decides when the game should end. This is what Zlatan meant by inevitability. Not destiny. Not luck. But the terrifying feeling that once Messi chooses the moment, nothing you do afterwards truly matters. Zlatan's confession didn't calm the debate. It detonated it. For Ronaldo's supporters, the reaction was immediate. 3 seconds? Football is about consistency, about numbers, about seasons built on sacrifice, discipline, and physical excellence. You don't dominate history with moments. You dominate it with volume. And they are right, in their own way. But Zlatan wasn't questioning Ronaldo's greatness. He was questioning how fear works in football. Fear is not always loud. Fear is not always exhausting. Sometimes fear is silence. Messi's greatest impact has never been his statistics alone. It's the way defenders hesitate around him, the way entire teams lower their block instinctively, the way one player changes spacing without touching the ball. Zlatan exposed something uncomfortable. Football culture often celebrates effort more than intelligence. We praise battles. We praise suffering. We praise visible domination. But what if the most lethal player is the one who forces you to make the wrong decision without you noticing? That's why this quote hurts. It doesn't attack Ronaldo. It challenges our idea of control. Because if 3 seconds are enough, then preparation, intensity, and structure suddenly feel fragile. And that question, uncomfortable, unresolved, is what keeps the Messi versus Ronaldo debate alive. Not because we don't know who scored more, but because we don't fully understand how some players end games before they seem to begin. Zlatan Ibrahimović didn't choose a side. he revealed a truth. Cristiano Ronaldo represents domination through endurance, a war of 90 minutes, a pressure that never stops. Lionel Messi represents something more unsettling, the ability to decide everything before you even realize the danger exists. One conquers matches, the other hijacks moments. And maybe that's why this debate will never end. Because football is torn between what we can measure and what we can't. So now, the question is yours. If a player only needs 3 seconds to change history, is that more terrifying than 90 minutes of relentless power? Tell us what you think in the comments. Like the video if this story made you see the game differently. And subscribe, because the next confession might shake everything you thought you knew about football.